Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Shocking news coming out of hip hop. All over social media, fans are complaining about rap fatigue. Yeah, fam, that's a thing. People are saying we are tired of this music. They are trash. Yeah, fam. Did you know for the first time since 1990, no hip hop song was included in Billboard's Top 40? Not one single hip hop song. That might be a sign. So how did we get here? I took some notes. Let's start with too much of the same sound. A lot of mainstream music blends into one lane. Same beat, same flow, same topics. When everything starts to sound the same, there's no excitement. So eventually, people get burned out. Label chasing trends instead of talent. The industry pushes what's ever hot at the moment, thus pushing a moment, not a movement. And so you can't build culture on microwave talent. You can't do it. You can't build culture on microwave music. And this is another reason why the genre has suffered. Social media took the focus off skill. Clout matters, not charts these days. Clout. So it's like whoever is moving the algorithm is moving the needle. Whoever is moving the algorithm is moving the needle. So that's why if you follow what's going on in music, most of the time you hear about artists. You're hearing about their shenanigans. You're hearing about baby daddy drama, baby mama drama. You're hearing about the divorce, the breakup, the way that they neglect their kids. Or you're hearing about what they bought for their kids and, how they spent $1 million on this and that. You learn all of these things about the artist. Back in the day, people wanted to know about artists, and you learn things about artists like regular stuff like favorite color, favorite food, a favorite hobby. But now with the internet, it's wide open, and artists allow fans all the way into their business, and sometimes to the extent where the fans go, man, I thought I liked that guy, I thought I liked that chick, but shit, my life is better than theirs and they got all of that money. Interesting. Less originality. Fewer identities. That was a time when every region, every crew had their own thing. You could listen to a beat and you knew what artist that beat belonged to. You could listen to this is how diverse the music was. You could listen to a beat and you could say, that's a Ghetto Boys beat. That's a pop beat. That's a Salt and Pepper beat. That's a Tribe Called Quest beat. That's a Nas beat. That's a, Public, you know what I mean? You could do that. Not anymore. Because all of it sounds like one long ass record. All of it sounds like one long record. The culture got separated from the music. Rap used to reflect the community. Struggle, pride. Now, you got a whole bunch of people just talking about a whole bunch of nothing. They don't talk about the struggle because everybody got it now. Everybody paid. Everybody got a mansion. and 5 Rolls Royces and Rolex watches and Gucci and Louis, and everybody's just doing so well. So they took away the struggle piece. And that struggle is one of the things that used to connect people to hip hop more than anything, because hip hop came from the struggle. It came from the mud. And now it's no longer about that. If you hear somebody talking about the struggle, they're talking about the mud, they're glorifying it. And that was one thing that you would seldom find in hip hop back in the early days. People glorifying coming from the mud. You know, we talked about the chopper in the trunk, but we also told you about the time that you would get if you got caught with that chopper in the trunk. That's the difference. See? You got some people glorify, and then some people simply, document, discuss, and provide awareness, tell cautionary tales, The lyricism isn't being prioritized. Wordplay, storytelling, and perspective used to be the thing. Like you hear something, man, what is he saying? What is she saying? You got to be saying something. Now it's just catchy hook, beat, boom, you in the door. And you can literally repeat one word 200 times throughout the whole song, and it could become a #1 hit. Don't get hits confused with classics. Oversaturation. Thousands of songs drop daily. Thousands of artists come out daily. It's oversaturated, fam. It's so much stuff out there that is good that gets lost in the shuffle. It gets buried because there's so much trash in the way. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, fam. There are some artists out there today that's dope as hell, and they can hold their own. They would have been dope had they come out in hip-hop's golden age. They would have been dope. They would have been able to compete and hold their own. But I gotta call a strike and a ball, fam. It's bad out there. The algorithms replaced the streets. Yeah. Back in the day, you was talking about the streets, it was about the streets, It was about having some credibility also. You didn't have to be no killer, you didn't have to be gangster, nothing like that, but you at the very least, you had to be respected. Well, now, somebody get online and they just talk that talk, and they ain't got to back it up because they're counting on space and time to serve as a buffer from you making contact. Real life got taken out of the music. Many new artists, they don't rap about experiencing real life situations. They rap about things that happened, but not to them. They talk about things that somebody else did. Now, every now and then you get those artists that are crash dummies and they tell all of their business and they go straight to jail. But for the most part, a lot of these guys, they're not from the streets. Most of these dudes today, rap used to be mainly guys from the streets. And it ain't nothing wrong with not being from the streets. Now, don't get me wrong. It's nothing really wrong for not being on the streets, of not being from the streets. But taking away that street element really watered down the game. Even if they was talking hard, talking tough or whatever, you really didn't believe it because a lot of these guys didn't have to do what they did or don't have to live the life that they lived. Like when we were coming up, if you were in the streets, you wanted to get out of the streets, hip hop was your outlet. Well, now these guys are using hip hop as an outlet to go into the streets. They ain't never been in a gang until they became a famous rapper. Once they start rapping, now they're choosing gangs. I mean, just totally backwards. Yeah. The legends stopped being involved. Yeah, the legends stopped being involved. I think it's primarily due to the legends' own doings, you know. Many of them step back and say, I don't want no part of this. I don't want to be involved in this. And I think when the legends step back, you know, they allow people who really didn't care about the music to exploit it and exploit the youngsters who came into the game. So a lot of the youngsters, they're all on their own out there. They don't know any better. They're just trying to improve their financial situation. But they don't have any information, you know, to navigate through these sharp waters. So they find themselves getting in all kinds of jams, getting their heads knocked off all the time because, you know, we live in a type of country where, as Wu-Tang said, cash rules everything around me. A lot of people, they respect money more than they respect themselves. They respect money more than they respect their mama. And that's the problem. I saw a rapper, speaking of mama, I saw a rapper cussing his mama and talking about putting his mama out the car and putting his mama out of the house that he bought. His mama lives with him. So he's talking about putting her out of the house. Yeah. Man, growing up, I would have never thought I would hear something like that. And I never heard somebody talk to their mama in that type of way. But it's a different day, fam. And don't think because it's a different day that, and you hear somebody say it's a different day, that you have to adjust to that different day and just say, you know what, I gotta adjust and get in line, and I'm justified because it is a different day. I'm justified in talking to my mama like that and being that type of way. Now, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get your head knocked off, because if you can't respect the woman who brought you into the world, you can't respect nothing. So, question, fam. What's it gonna take to turn this thing around? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.